Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. First, the judge could rule as early as tomorrow whether Karen Reed gets to keep her attorney who's accused of misconduct. A chilling call in the case of a Utah woman accused of killing her husband. Would you want Casey Anthony as your spokesperson? A very bad man in Florida is going to prison for doing the unspeakable. Is it wrong to sick your dogs on the utility police? This day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
All right, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. My name is Scott Reich, and this is Crime Talk. Thanks for joining us. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't. Like if you do. Leave me a comment below. Hit that little bell for notifications. And yes, you can check us out anytime on any of your favorite podcasting apps. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I certainly did. I had the pleasure of having my son, who is stationed overseas, come home and spend the weekend with me. He is currently stationed in Germany, and he and his wife came and we had a great time. We went to the Avs game on Friday night, the Avalanche, the hockey team. And then we went to Casa Bonita. And if you know, you know. And then also we went fly fishing. I won't show all their big photographs, but mine were, pretty impressive. Let's just leave it at that. All right. Go ahead and go to crimetalksearch.com and sign up for that background subscription service today. When you do, you'll be able to do as many background searches as you desire on anyone here in the United States. Say, for example, let's say you want to do a background search on, I don't know, Casey Anthony. You could do that. You're going to get a report that's emailed to you, and it's going to have as much information as they are going to be able to find on all these public databases. We're going to be able to find social media presence, property, criminal history. Are they on one of those sex offender registry lists? Yes, go to crimetalksearch.com. Check it out. And the beautiful thing is, whether you want to do one search or 1,000 searches, you can cancel at any time. All right, let's go ahead and open the docket for Monday, March 3rd, 2025. And first, the judge in the Karen Reed case is to rule shortly whether there is misconduct by the defense team. Now, not to be outdone, of course, the defense has alleged that the case should be dismissed for outrageous governmental conduct. Now, the hearing is set for Tuesday. Now, the judge presiding over the case, like I said, will rule as early as tomorrow if there was misconduct by the defense in their handling of two experts. The case is due back in the Dedham's Norfolk Superior Court for the continuation of a pre-trial hearing. This pretrial hearing was initially continued when the judge decided that she had grave concerns, which was extended to Tuesday, February 25th. And the special prosecutor, Hank Brennan, accused the defense earlier this month of lying about dealings with the crash experts from ARCA. They're the accident reconstruction peoples, Dr. Daniel Wolf and Dr. Andrew Rentschler, which was bringing the hearing on Tuesday, February 18th, to an abrupt end. Well, both experts testified on behalf of Ms. Reed in the June 24 trial and stated that the injuries to Reed's Boston's police officer's boyfriend, Mr. O'Keefe, weren't consistent with a vehicle strike. Now, Special Prosecutor Brennan has alleged that the defense hid communications with ARCA and more than $23,000 was paid to them by the defense, even though they were originally hired by the federal authorities. Now, you may remember the defense called him as a witness. There was some question of whether they were going to, actually call experts that they weren't exactly sure of what they were going to say, so to speak. And the testimony came out that the defense experts were doing it just for the good of mankind, to make sure that Karen Reed was not wrongfully convicted in any way. Well, like I said, it turns out there may have been a financial arrangement. And if that was the case, then guess what? It should have been disclosed. It wasn't, and it left kind of a bad taste in the government's mouth, so to speak, because they could have cross-examined that they weren't doing it just for the good of humanity and society. They were actually doing it for money. Anyway, we digress. Anyway, defense attorney Robert Alessi responded to Mr. Brennan's claims during last week's hearing, arguing to the court that there was nothing shady about the interactions, accusing Mr. Brennan of trying to mislead the court. And Mr. Alessi confirmed that Reed's legal team did in fact pay Arga after the trial, but Mr. Brennan maintained that the information should have been shared publicly. And the whole issue is whether there's going to be some sort of misrepresentation to the court by an officer of the court. I think it probably should have been disclosed. It should have been disclosed up front, and we wouldn't be having these issues at all. Anyway, of course, any attorney, unless they want to risk malpractice, is going to make a communication with that expert, which was argued by Mr. Alessi. At least tried to contact them, and they did, but they made it sound like they never talked before. Special Prosecutor Brennan responded, "It is the bias, the relationship that is critical, and that was hidden from the court." Anyway, the judge ended last week's hearing without deciding if the defense would face any consequences. However, she previously suggested that this could have profound effects on the future of the case. Remember, Alan Jackson and most of the defense team is admitted pro hoc vice, which means they're not technically licensed in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and they could have their pro hoc vice status eliminated. However, that raises some choice of counsel issues, and so the question then is if the judge is going to sanction the defense, if at all, whether it's done now or at the end of the trial. Normally, that's what's done. If there's going to be some sort of sanctionable offense, it's done at the end of the trial. The judge will then contact the Bar Association and let those proceedings roll from there. We'll see how things go tomorrow. Anyway, the hearing also comes after Miss Reed's attorneys filed a 147-page motion to dismiss the case against their client on the basis of extraordinary governmental misconduct. In the pleadings, the defense accuses the Commonwealth of destroying exculpatory evidence, withholding exculpatory evidence, and interfering with the jury. Now, the prosecution fired back in a 15-page motion to Reed's motion, arguing that it should be denied because the defense claims do not raise any substantial issues. We're going to have to wait and see. I think the allegations made by the defense have pretty much been made. There's been no sanctions. I don't see the judge saying, oh my gosh, all of a sudden now the prosecution has done something wrong. First, you have to show bad faith. I don't think, based upon that pleading, at least what we were able to read, which is a good chunk of it, is that there's anything that's bad faith. Maybe incompetence, but incompetence doesn't rise to the level of bad faith. And of course, when you are being attacked, what do? You attack as well. That's what the defense was doing. Now, for those who do not know, Miss Reed is accused of hitting her then Boston police officer boyfriend, John O'Keefe, with her Lexus SUV on January 29th and leaving him to die after a night of drinking in the cold snow. The defense has sought to portray Miss Reed as the victim, saying that Miss O'Keefe was actually killed inside the Albert family home and then dragged outside and left to die. Of course, the dog maybe take a bite out of him too, according to the defense theory. The retrial of Miss Reed is scheduled to begin in April of 2025, and the judge declared a mistrial back in July of 2024 after finding jurors couldn't reach a unanimous verdict on all of the charges of second-degree murder, leaving the scene of a crash and manslaughter. Now, Miss Reed, who although did not testify in her first trial, which she has an absolute right not to do, and frankly, as I've said it before, I would have found Miss Reed not guilty in the first trial based upon the evidence that was presented or the lack thereof. I think the defense case's wheels are kind of coming off. Things aren't going exactly the way the defense was hoping. I think they really hoped that maybe they would have this case dismissed. Clearly, that's not going to take place. The prosecution always does better the second time around. As we've seen that from pretrial motions, the prosecution has been attacking everything that Miss Reed did in the first trial, which frankly, I don't think the prosecution really expected a lot of that to come out, even though it was disclosed. I don't think they expected it. And the reality of it is I don't think they were prepared for it. But Mr. Brennan, obviously very experienced attorney, come on the prosecution team to come in for the big win, so to speak. So like I said, Ms. Reed, although she didn't testify, perfectly her right to do, did an interview with a Boston outlet and says that she has nothing to hide and that she has been framed for murder. And I'm sure the prosecution may play a portion of that interview at the trial. I'm not sure why the defense would have agreed to that interview. Next, let's go to Utah. The judge there saying there is a substantial danger to the community denied bail for the accused murderer, Jennifer Gledhill, who will remain in custody for the alleged death of her husband, whose body, has not yet been found. Now, during the hearing last Friday, the state of Utah presented new evidence that they say connects Gledhill to the death of Matthew Johnson in the couple's Utah home back in September. Now, Gledhill was arrested on October 2nd for murder and obstruction of justice. Despite ongoing searches for Johnson's body, they have still not found him. Among the evidence shared in the hearing were phone tracking data showing Gledhill traveled from her and Johnson's home on September 21st to where Matthew's truck was ultimately found. Now, the map shared GPS tracking of Miss Gledhill's phone from September 22nd, the day after the alleged murder, that showed her traveling north towards Davis County. A search of the area found a vehicle storage container that apparently floated to the water surface after a storm, and Johnson's blood was also confirmed to be found inside the storage container. Now, GPS data also placed Miss Gledhill at the Davis County location, where a mattress from the couple's home, along with pillows that were wrapped up in a rug, showed further evidence that he was once inside the residence. Photos also showed DNA evidence of Johnson's blood on a rug and other areas inside the bedroom where he was allegedly sleeping when he was killed. It was previously been reported that a man with whom Gledhill was having an extramarital affair told police that she had shot Johnson in the head while he slept, then put his body in a storage container and loaded it into her minivan. Then on Friday, the defense said the phone call, which was entered into evidence for the limited purpose of that hearing, Gledhill allegedly apologized to the man for telling him what happened and told him not to think of her as a monster. She asked the man to remember her for who she was before she opened her mouth. Gledhill was also caught on the call telling the man that the fact that he was now scared of her just simply broke her heart. Now, despite these claims, Gledhill's attorney argued that she should and would follow all the requirements if she was granted the privilege of an ankle monitor if she was released. However, the judge denied that request. How many times, ladies and gentlemen, have I said it? Always the defendant's own words that come back and bite them in the ass at trial. And it's usually not the statement to the police. It's all those other statements that come in. Remember when they say any statement you make can and will be used against you? Remember the Miranda warning that we talked about last week in This Day in Legal History? Everything comes in if it's relevant. It's an admission by a party opponent, so therefore it is not hearsay. Ms. Gledhill, we wish you luck. We give you the presumption of innocence. Not good. Not good fact for you. Next, would you want Casey Anthony as your spokesperson? That's right. Casey Anthony, who was accused of murdering her daughter, has come out as an LGBTQ and women's rights advocate and says that she is standing in the light. Miss Anthony claims that it is her duty to defend people who are being attacked. She says in her video that she put up on TikTok that one of the main reasons that she's doing this is that there are people close to her that have been targeted and attacked recently. And as a proponent for the LGBTQ community and their legal community, women's rights, she feels that it is important that she use this platform that was thrust upon her and now look at it as a blessing as opposed to the curse that it has been since 2008. Now, for those who do not remember, Casey Anthony was accused of murdering her 2-year-old daughter, Kaylee Anthony, in 2008. Now, obviously, she was acquitted, although there was some significant evidence against her, like the fact she didn't report her child missing, other evidence found in the truck. The jury ultimately found her not guilty. She spent time in custody, but not long after that for some minor other charges. But the reality of it is let's just say she doesn't have a whole lot of fans out there. So I'm just not sure if you think that she would be the one you'd want her representing your cause or organization. Let me know in the comments, and let me know if you've actually gone, because I have not, but Miss Anthony has launched a Blue Sky and Substack accounts where she continues to identify as a legal advocate and expresses intentions to assist others in navigating the legal system. According to her, there is a lack of publicly available credentials supporting her newfound advocacy role. Her highly publicized trial, like I said, in 2011 resulted in her being acquitted of charges of murder, though she was found guilty of providing false information to law enforcement. Anyway, a lot of people are a little bit appalled that she is now giving her legal advice and opinion. Now, technically, she can't give legal advice to somebody because that would be the unauthorized practice of law. Next on the docket, Florida guy goes to prison, is going to go to prison for doing the unthinkable. That's right. A Florida man will spend the next 18 years behind bars for doing terrible things to a 13-year-old girl whose family he was staying with, and then forcing her to take the Plan B, the emergency contraceptive pill. Please meet Robert McGuire Jr. He pled guilty to 2 counts of sexual battery upon a person between the ages of 12 to 18 years of age last Friday. And according to a statement from the prosecutors, a judge sentenced him to 18 and a half years in the Florida Department of Corrections. Now, Mr. McGuire will also have to register as a sex offender and complete 10 years of sex offender probation once he finishes serving his time. Now, the actions and the intent behind the defendant's crimes are repulsive, according to the district attorney. And the abuse took place twice in consecutive days back in October of 2021. Like I said, where Mr. McGuire was staying with family friends. McGuire had been living in a spare room of the family house for about 6 months, according to the arrest affidavit, and the victim told a trusted adult about the assaults. Authorities then spoke with the girl, who said that she was sexually battered by Mr. McGuire. The girl said Mr. McGuire told her that he would kill her if she spoke to anyone about the abuse, and then he also had her take the Plan B after morning pill. Well, guess what? Police were able to match some DNA from the crime scene linking Mr. McGuire back to the sexual assault, and there's also some video from a CVS showed Mr. McGuire buying the Plan B. McGuire had previously denied the allegations, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, sometimes it's not going to come from a total stranger. It's going to come from somebody you know who takes advantage of your good nature and trusts and abuses you or a family member. Be careful. Next, is it wrong to sick the dogs on the utility police? That's right. A Florida woman is behind bars after stealing electricity and sicking her large dog on utility workers who confronted her about stealing the power. Tiffany Perkins stands accused of crimes including 1 count each of aggravated assault, aggravated battery, creating or maintaining a nuisance, keeping a nuisance, larceny related to a utility, grand theft, animal cruelty, burning unpermitted materials, operating an unpermitted landfill, misuse of the 911 system, resisting an officer with violence, resisting without violence, as well as 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without the intent to kill. All because they just wanted to know if you were tapping into the utility system, ladies and gentlemen. Talk about a bad day. Anyway, apparently the deputies arrived at the home early in the morning, and there were a couple of representatives from Duke Energy there. The incident with the energy company employees were on Miss Perkins' lawn or residence to investigate what appeared to be possible theft of utilities. The defendant didn't appreciate the inquiry, and after the deputy arrived and began speaking with her, she then called 911 to have the police show up. As the defendants moved forward towards Tiffany to arrest her, he was attacked by a Great Dane, causing injury to his arm and eye, according to the arrest affidavit. Guess what? More police officers arrived. Tiffany released her dogs at them, alleging that Miss Perkins used her dogs to attack the utility workers as well. Anyway, the defendant allegedly continued to resist arrest and was ultimately tasered. The investigation determined that Tiffany was indeed stealing electric utilities from Duke Energy after they had cut power from her home. Animal control responded and recovered a second Great Dane that was apparently in extremely poor health. Both Great Danes were removed from the property. Like I said, she was also charged with improper waste tire disposal, having an open septic tank, and trespass that does not involve a structure or a conveyance. She's currently in jail on a $48,000 bond, ladies and gentlemen. Somehow, I don't think she's going to make that bond. Next, on this day in legal history, that's right, March 3rd, 1845, Florida was admitted as the 27th state. Obviously, its admission as a slave state contributed to the regional balance of power and ongoing debate over slavery. And then on this date in 1849, Congress established the Department of Interior to manage federal lands, natural resources, and Native American affairs. The creation of this department centralized the administration of public lands and resources, influenced environmental and indigenous policies. On this date in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Enrollment Act, instituting the first federal conscription, aka a draft, in the United States history during the Civil War. This also led to a significant civil unrest, including the New York City draft riots, and raised questions about the federal authority over individual rights. And on this date, in 1879, Belva Lockwood became the first woman admitted to practice before the United States Supreme Court. And they still have pretty stringent rules for ladies to appear before the court. Like they can't wear pants. I think they still wear the skirts below the knee in black. So can you imagine what it was like in 1879? I'm not sure they let her do anything other than maybe file a couple of briefs. And on this date in 1931, President Herbert Hoover signed a bill officially designating the Star-Spangled Banner as the national anthem. You can't go wrong with that, right? Anyway, there was the act formalizing a national symbol, influencing patriotic displays and cultural identity. And on this day in 1934, notorious criminal John Dillinger escaped from the Crown Point prison in Indiana using a fake gun. Obviously, that embarrassed law enforcement and obviously intensified to his capture. And then finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Take a look at this video. A couple trying to fly to Mexico from Miami arrived a little too late. Haven't we all been there once or twice, ladies and gentlemen? Anyway, they tried to force their way onto the plane, and they had to get past the airport staff, which didn't quite work out for them. This led to a confrontation, which the man fought with the gate attendant and actually threw coffee at the gate attendant's face. Guess what? You guessed it, the police were called and the couple was arrested. The couple was arrested. Rafael Sirafe Navarez and Beatriz Rapor de Campos Maia were running late. And well, guess what? Like I said, it didn't turn out well for them. They got arrested. And guess what? They did not make their trip to Mexico. American Airlines will ban them forever from flying. And guess what? They got arrested. Dumb criminal of the day. Have you heard of this thing, you two? It's called the next flight. You don't have to assault people to get on the plane. And you are dumb for thinking that was going to work. Let me assault the people to get on the flight. Yeah, because they're not going to arrest you, right? The door's already closed. Are you kidding me? You two are dumb criminals of the day. Congratulations, you made it. And you won't be flying American Airlines and hopefully no other airlines. I have zero tolerance for misconduct on airplanes. All right, that's all we have for today, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, join us tomorrow morning. We will be broadcasting the Karen Reed hearing. Let's see if Mr. Jackson's going to get in trouble. I don't think the prosecution's going to get in any trouble. And not that I'm saying the prosecution doesn't deserve a little trouble. I'm a defense attorney, for goodness sakes. But I just don't think the evidence is there from what I know. Let's find out if I'm right. Let's find out if I'm right together. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit then I'm wrong. But we make our decisions based upon facts, and we try to be as intellectually honest as possible. Just because you pick a side doesn't mean, listen, I'm telling you, in the criminal defense world, there's always facts that change, ladies and gentlemen, and you cannot ignore the bad facts. So join us tomorrow. We'll see you later. Have a wonderful day, and remember, the Constitution matters.